Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, and Terra Firma, and Tromeo and Juliet, we like to kick back and listen to Without Your Head, because Without Your Head is the greatest entertainment on the face of the earth. Yes, listen to Without Your Head. The Troma team does, and the Troma team's been around for 35 years.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil.
I'm Mama Creepy.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
And we're joined here by Salem Kapsaski. There's an extra S in there. And sorry for messing up your name, because it's a cool name. The director of Spidarlings. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
and maybe super excited.
Yeah, maybe you should save the thanks till after the interview. Maybe you won't be thankful. No. So, for people who have not seen Spidarlings or are aware of it yet, give them an idea of what they're in for.
Well, it's a queer punk rock horror musical coming out now from Troma, and it's about a young lesbian couple who cannot pay their rent and are trying to scam the welfare system. Eventually, they do come to some money, but instead of paying the rent, they buy a pet tarantula, and shit really hits the fan.
Right. So it's not a typical movie.
I hope not.
No. I have to say, I don't know who your influences are, but when I was watching it, it's very John Waters to me.
I love John Waters' movies, so I definitely think that his influence creeped in whether I want to or not.
Yeah, I definitely got that influence.
I think came through, like, I love George Kuchar movies, and I Love Lucy was an influence, so lots of different weird things that I love watching up.
Mm-hmm. So I love that it's a musical. What made you decide to make a musical? And well,
when I started writing it, I always imagined it to have like a really cool soundtrack from the very beginning, but I knew that I was not going to be able to afford all the songs that I would have wanted to put in. So the idea came to me that I played with the idea that I could make it a musical, and eventually I met Jeff Christian, who is a great track-wing performer who also writes songs. So we discussed with him if he could write me a song for the film, and he wrote Sing Happy Song, which was written for Gina, the character played by Tiffany Wells. And after he wrote it and we really loved it, he said, if there's anything else you could do for us, and said, well, write 30 more songs maybe. And so it became a full-blown musical.
Awesome. Yeah, I just love the movie. The fact that you have Lee Mark Jones in it. How did that come about with him coming to work on the project?
Well, originally the role was supposed to be played by Jeff Dylan Graham, but he got caught at the airport, Britain, and was not allowed into the country and sent back home, so we had to recast. At the time, Rahel, who plays Matilda in the film, ended up in a music video of Lee, and I met Lee and we started to talk. We started to become sort of a friendly basis, and I proposed him to play the role, and he was really up for it, luckily, so it all worked out for the best, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Have you worked with him on projects before?
No, this is the first time that we've worked together.
Oh, cool.
So we have since worked together on several other small projects. We are including my latest short film called Wax House Rock. He plays Elvis Presley in this one.
Oh, really? That's pretty sweet.
A small little horror film that's going to be part of the Crindsploitation 4 anthology.
Oh, nice. Because actually some local directors here in Boston have been on the previous ones. So how much input do you actually have in the music, like the lyrics? You write the lyrics, or did the...
Well, I wrote the lyrics for one song called We Are Empowered, and for the rest of the songs I just kind of wrote down sort of a description of the kind of style I wanted and what the song was supposed to be about, and then Jeff played around with something, and most of the time we liked it from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. The opening theme's amazing, too, and the opening credits.
Yeah.
We were really lucky with the animation when we got Dominic Livigbanyak on board, who did also all the animated sequences in between the films. So I'm really happy with everything, how it turned out there.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite spider-human animated sex scene ever filmed.
Yep. Absolutely. It was hot. Yep. Got me going. Went out and got my own tarantula myself.
No, like for that scene, you have this a lot. When you're writing the movie, when you write that scene, do you think like I'm gonna do like I'm actually gonna film this, or how does that like come about?
Sort of filming it and how we could sort of do the scene, and then we started to actually build sort of a giant spider costume, but it ended up already early on looking ridiculous. So we thought, let's animate it with it, because let's rather have it surreal and animated than have it, looking crappy with a.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally works in the movie, the animation. Not that I would know about these things. I've heard the kids talk about this. There is a pornography out there of a giant spider woman having sex with a man.
I have not seen that.
I could possibly send links if I find out about this. I've never seen it before.
I've always thought at the very beginning my dream come true would be to have a porn parody of Spidarlings one day.
Neil might be able to help you out with that.
Well, where does the name Spidarlings come from?
Well, the Spidarlings are with an E, it's baby spiders, but I thought to make it a pun and add sort of darlings into it.
Yeah.
E to an A.
Mm-hmm.
I just love tacky puns, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as an American watching the movie, everyone has a distinct accents. Is that all from an area that you're in?
Well, the accents are really all over the place. Some of the actors are from Russia. Kelty Kerpel is from Belgium. So it's we're from Greece. So it's just really a strange mix of accents from all over the place.
Oh, she's American.
Rachel's accent definitely is different than Sophia's accent and Jeff's.
Well, to me, they're just all accents. I don't know the difference, but I'm a dumb American.
It's okay, Neil. It's okay.
We do have two Americans in the film: Lynn Ruth Miller, who plays the fairy godmother, and of course Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously was distributed by Troma, but Lloyd's in the movie. So how early on was Lloyd involved?
Originally, Lloyd was only going to play the small cameo there when we found out that he was going to come to Britain for the Father's Day premiere. So we just contacted him over Twitter and said, we're making this movie, interested to be in it, and we sent him over the script. And
so what was it like to have Lloyd on set? That must have been, I assume you're a Troma fan.
I'm a huge Troma fan. It was a really fanboy's dream come true to Lloyd Kaufman. So
yeah. So what were some of your favorite Troma films?
Romeo and Juliet, Terror Firmer, Toxic Avenger, of course, but who doesn't love Toxic Avenger? Combat Shock, Credible Torture Show. I love everything.
You pretty much can't go wrong with the Troma.
That's true. And
actually,
when I was starting to write the script, I was actually reading Lloyd's book, Make Your Own Damn Movie, so it feels like coming full circle to actually have it distributed by Troma. Would be happy, yeah.
So when you have Lloyd on, there, was that a role that was already written in the movie, and like, oh, we'll put Lloyd here? Or did you like write a scene specifically for Lloyd?
I wrote the scene specifically for Lloyd. We had sort of the idea of having sort of have him buy the spider, but I rewrote it for Lloyd once we knew that we could contact him and that he was coming to England for it.
That's really cool.
We just wrote the scene in last moment. Toshio.
So,
Very cool.
you have your movie distributed by Troma, and I'll just be honest here on the show. We have a lot of people who have worked with Troma, and either they fall into one or two categories. They're very happy with Troma and said that it was a great experience, and then there are people who are very negative on Troma and say they regret work with them. What was your experience like so far working with Troma?
So far, I absolutely love the whole experience. I think that Spidarlings has found a loving and beautiful home, and I couldn't be happier. I couldn't want it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dream for me.
Who did the the cover art, especially the logo for Spidarlings? The anarchy symbol looks very cool.
The original logo we did for the film was done by Dominic Vaniak, who also did the whole animation, and the cover art was made by Troma team.
Mm-hmm. Creepy here. I'm a creepy already. Talked about one of the cast members. How did you go about casting the rest of the film?
Well, for Sophia, who plays Eden, we actually had audition. I think around 72 actors, and none of them were right. And then finally, at the very end, we finally got to meet Sophia Disgrace. And I think the moment she walked in, I knew she was the one for the role. And when she started the audition, she instantly made me laugh. And
she's so great. She's so perfect in that role. Just perfect in that role.
When you say she's perfect for the perfect what you envisioned, what was it about her that made her right for the role?
Her comical timing, her ability to be both kind of menacing and also very sweet and motherly at the same time, I think. And to be both kind of male looking and at the same time still be very femme and female. So kind of playing with all those extremes and gender stereotypes and mixing them up together in one. I think she really got the whole concept of that from the very beginning. Yeah.
Just as far as lighting goes, you use a lot of purples. I always think when a low budget movie uses a lot of interesting lighting in their movie, it really raises the production value. What do you think the purples add to the movie, or is it just you just thought look cool?
Well, we sort of from the very beginning, I sort of made sort of little storyboards, and I sort of decided what kind of color scheme I want to go with, which place and which character would have with every individual color, and then how to put different lighting so it wouldn't clash with the main colors throughout, and still sort of give it the kind of atmosphere that I wanted. And purple is anyways the color of death, so I thought that's sort of a creepy psychological thing, because every color I think has sort of a different psychological effect on you.
Yeah.
And I'm anyways obsessed with color. When I was a kid, I was more afraid of becoming colorblind than of dying, I guess. That was an irrational fear of myself that I would wake up one day and be colorblind.
Well, what do you think the reasoning for that fear is?
I really don't know. Just a weird irrational fear that creeped into me when I was young.
I could totally understand that fear, though. Totally understand that fear. It's not something I would have to worry about, but I have friends that are colorblind, and I wear a lot of black, but, they generally just have to wear a lot of black. Trying to pick out colors is not really tend to be an option, so being able to see vibrant colors and things like that, it's a colorful world. So to imagine not being able to see those things, yeah, I could understand that fear. And this movie is very vibrant.
Just to watch all those beautiful Technicolor films and to think that you couldn't see half of it, or all the beautiful works of art and paintings, if you couldn't see all the colors, I think you would miss out on a lot. To me, that thought always seemed frightening. I don't know why.
So how long did it take you to make the movie?
It took us nearly 5 years to make the film because, as Murphy's Law states, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it did. And again, starting from the very beginning of production, before we started shooting, Ken Russell, the late great Ken Russell, was supposed to play the role of the landlord, and 2 months before we started shooting, Ken sadly passed away, which was a big blow.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had our equipment stolen.
Oh, wow.
Got into car accidents. It was just mad. But giving
wow.
really an option, so we just kept on going no matter what came our way.
Mm-hmm. So, how long did it take you? Did you do the actual editing of the movie?
No, the editing was done by Lawrence Roberts, and was really quick, actually, because before that we had a different editor on board who, again, delayed us for entire years, just kind of pulling us along with excuses of why he cannot work this week, why it's not going on, or whatever. So eventually I just had it with him, just kind of fired him, and got, luckily I met Lawrence, and he just edited the entire film in like 3 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the original cut was sort of 3 hours long, so we cut it by an hour, which is still too long by some people's opinion.
Did other people were they against putting out such a long movie?
Mostly it's just sort of from friends of mine who have the most negative reviews. 2 hours? I cannot watch 2 hours. Shit, you watch 13 hours of Netflix, but you can't watch a 2-hour movie? Go fuck yourself.
That's a good point. I do know people like that too. They think nothing of binge watching things for days, but they can't watch like a 3-hour flick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, did you show the movie at at festivals or anything before releasing on DVD?
We had only 3 festival screenings so far. One in Holland, one here in Britain, and 2 in Britain. One in Manchester and one in London, and then one in Holland. And we're going to have 3 more screenings planned for next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was that like to show your movie with an audience and be there in person?
Well, the first time, extremely frightening, extremely nerve-wracking, but luckily people liked it, people laughed, and the greatest experience I've ever had was to see actually people quote lines from a movie to each other as they walk out of the cinema. So I was like, wow.
Oh, that's awesome. That's badass.
Better than any review, better than any feedback is to hear people laugh and quote your lines.
Well, what are some of the favorite lines that people have been quoting?
I think the fairy godmother, bad boys don't get any wishes, fuck you.
So fuck you.
The one that everybody always seems to like and laugh the most at.
That's a great line.
People that hated the film like the fairy godmother song.
How could you not?
I like that the pair the police talked like the parents from the Peanuts.
Yeah.
Not to give away too much of the movie. But.
Yeah.
There's also kind of a driller killer. I'll just say that in the movie, which is very
that was a great little surprise there. A very great little surprise.
There's also a scene that reminded me of Linnea Quigley in The Night of the Demons. If that was intentional or not. But
it most likely was by yes. Even if I didn't want to do it purposefully. I love Night of the Demons so much and just walked in.
Mm-hmm. There's a mention of a Eraserhead, and of course there's a Eraserhead poster in the movie. Is that a favorite of yours?
I absolutely adore the film, and it also became sort of an inside joke because Eraserheads took 8 years to make, so we said,
right.
Oh, it's going to take even longer to make. So continue to put more Eraserhead references into it.
Yeah.
Inside joke that took long to finish.
when you're making a movie that takes years to make, how do you keep like everyone involved enthusiastic about the movie?
I was really, really lucky in terms that everybody in my cast of the film and believed in the film and was supporting me and behind me 100% all the time. So really blessed and really grateful.
Mm-hmm. And so like the punk part of the film, is that something you're into, like the punk scene?
Always have been a punk kid at heart, so I guess so.
Yeah.
I used to be in punk bands when I was a teenager and still listen to a lot. So.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Neil.
I was just wondering if anyone in the punk scene, what they thought of the movie, if you had any feedback from them.
When I first finished writing the script, I actually sent the script out to a lot of people that I looked up to, and one of them was Animal from the Anti-Hour League, who told me that he liked it.
You told them what? I'm sorry?
Animal from the Anti-Hour League.
Oh, okay.
Was one of the first people to read the script.
Cool.
So
yeah, I just loved it. Like, not to go and gush all over again about having B. Mark Jones in it, but like I was a huge fan, of regular witches or wretches and Gypsy Pistolero. So you kind of got the whole punk thing down in it. And just the whole feel. I just loved the whole blend of it. Like, it was very, I don't know, the vibrance of the movie along with the music. And it did have very much of a John Waters kind of feel. It was like a John Waters musical. I think Jeff could have pretty much was almost like Divine-esque in that movie, or in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great seeing that combination, all brought together. It's something I have never seen before. So, and things with spiders. So.
How could people see some of your previous work?
Some of it might be on YouTube in terms of my TV show London Calling. You can see all of that on Revry TV. My first short films, My Head Hurts, is not online, but I'm going to put it online eventually as soon as I digitize it. I'm going to have a new anthology coming out now called Films Confiscated from a French Brothel. That should be on DVD in February or March.
What's that about? Films confiscated from a French brothel?
That's it's an anthology. I directed one segment and also produced it. And it's going to be an homage to silent erotica and vintage stag films. Basically 1920s, 1930s inspired erotic films.
I know someone who does similar movies here in Boston, so that's interesting. It's kind of that people are interested in that. How can people follow you online if they want to keep track of stuff you got coming out?
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram, etc. I always ask Salem Kapsaski, which is very difficult to spell. So the best way to spell it is, I guess, to press K and just angrily bang your fists against the keyboard, and it should come out right.
That's how I spell everything.
Do you know the history of your name, Salem? Like, I don't know, maybe it's not your given name, but do you know that?
Sure, nobody in the family is really sure whether it is of Russian or of Polish origin. We just know that eventually somebody called Kapsaski ended up on the Greek island of Santa. Probably half of the island because everybody has the same name on there.
I see. Well, what about the Salem name?
Salem has been my nickname since I was 8 years old. So nobody calls me by my real name anymore.
Well, what spawned the nickname?
Just me dressing up in black a lot in school, so people started calling me Salem because I looked like a witch.
I see. Have you ever been to Salem?
sadly haven't. I have only been to America once in 2000. I only went to California for a week.
I see. I'm in Massachusetts, so I'm not, but like an hour and a half away from Salem. But I've been to Salem on Halloween a few times, and
I would love to visit.
went on the walking tour, which is pretty cool.
I'm hoping to make the pilgrimage there next year. That is the plan.
It's very busy on Halloween night.
You're almost better off going when it's not near Halloween.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to go on Halloween, but next year I want to go.
Yeah, it's I actually really like it, like Troy said, away from Halloween, because you can explore easier without just thousands of people. Which is
Is it very tacky and touristy, or
that's I'm glad you brought that up, because there's really kind of two parts of Salem. There is the parts that is very touristy, where it's just like tacky looking witch stuff and shops like that. But then there's also like the old parts of Salem, where with a lot of history, and then there's a lot of cool like indie shops. It depends where you are in Salem. You got to kind of look around.
Yeah, if you see cobblestone street, stay away from them. The cobblestone's usually for the tourists.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of a combination of two, and in a way, some of that's kind of fun too, to see kind of they have like a big statue of the woman from Bewitched, which I always think is kind of very silly that they have
really?
that in Salem, but
it sounds like the bourbon. It sounds like the Bourbon Street of Salem.
So
I guess you could say that.
But there's a lot of very cool, like thrift stores, and there's a lot of cool stuff. You just kind of look for it. But there is a lot of tacky stuff too. But the burial grounds are right there. Some are very old. That's where we went on a walking tour of a lot of the where the thought to be witches are buried, and so it's a very interesting place. Have you used a Ouija board in Salem?
Yeah, I'm tapping out on that one. No, I'm not messing with a Ouija board. No, not going there. I'm staying out on that one.
Didn't get too much of a reaction with we used it twice in Salem. First time, nothing happened. Second time, I saw, first a raccoon just climbed up a tree behind me. It was very bizarre. I love raccoons, so like we're thinking it was like my totem animal or something.
Your spirit animal.
He just walked right up to us and climbed the tree right behind me and sat up in the tree. It was very strange. And then that same night, and that was on Halloween night, and I'm not someone who ever gets like scared, not to be tough guy or nothing, but there was very, very strange. It was like two glowing eyes behind Annabelle up in the other tree, the opposite of me, and it was probably just another raccoon, but it was still it was kind of weird. But we didn't get
the rabid raccoon.
Who knows? I don't know. It was weird, but we did get a lot of reaction just here at the local cemetery in not in Sandwich here, Sagamore. Yeah, that was interesting because I'm not someone who believes in the Ouija board, and so that was our first experience. We used it in this in a cemetery in Sagamore, and got all kinds of reaction. That was it was a very interesting experience.
The only time I ever used the Ouija board, I think my sister cheated, so I ended up talking to a ghost called Melvin, apparently. Still convinced to this day that it was my sister.
Yeah. Were they saying like crazy things?
Not really, just kind of for a ghost, very boring conversation, I would say.
Yeah, see, that's how this was. It made me believe that it was more on the up and up. Like there was something to it, because I think if you were gonna like make something up, you know, make up some big grand, you know, story that's coming to get you or something. But this was just like, it was like
Gonna get you.
yeah, it was just like, it was a doctor. And it was like all very mundane. What was very strange about this was, so it was answering all the questions. And then when we asked where it was in this, if it was like near us also, it would just kind of, would just wander around the board. And we were like, thought maybe it's confused or whatever. It's weird. Didn't think too much of the time. It's just, it would not give a specific answer. And I didn't know this at the time. I did know that that cemetery is considered very haunted, but I didn't know like the backstory. And the backstory is that when they built the Cape Cod Canal here, which is a man-made, that they dug it up, they had to move the Sagamore cemetery, and when they did that, they moved it, and then it was flooded at some point, and so all the tombstones are not with the actual correct bodies. So then after I read about that, and they think that's why it's haunted, because people are moving, trying to get to where they're supposed to be. And after I knew that, then I looked back about, you know, our experience, and it made that whole thing where we were asking where it was, and it just kind of wandered or floated around the Ouija board. It was, you know, interesting. I mean, some of that's put your mind's, you know, putting things together that might not be true, but it still was a very interesting experience.
It really is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still not gonna mess with a Ouija board. No, that's where I gotta draw the line somewhere. No, I've been watching horror movies way too long. Remember, we did our 666 list, life lessons. Life lesson: don't mess with a Ouija board. It's right there. Not gonna mess with a Ouija board.
Yeah, well,
it's all right. I'm okay with that.
Ouija board's still, it's still in Annabelle's in her van, because she wouldn't bring it into her home. She's worried that something
Don't blame her. I don't blame her. I wouldn't either. I'm like, that's fine. I have Ouija board jewelry.
Uh-huh.
I have items of clothing that have Ouija boards on them. I don't need a Ouija board. I'm a walking Ouija board.
This was a Milton Bradley glow-in-the-dark Ouija board.
Oh, a glow-in-the-dark one.
So it's very...
That's the best kind.
Uh-huh. That's probably we didn't get anybody in Salem. They were just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, they're like Ouija snobs in Salem.
Exactly. But I know someone who, the caretaker of that cemetery, he's an older guy. He goes to the post office I used to go to a lot. And he said before he had the job, he didn't believe in ghosts at all. But working there, he's seen like a lot of stuff. And he's seen like smoke, where he believes it was somebody smoking a cigarette or a cigar, and there was clearly no one there, which is interesting. But the weirdest thing he said ever saw was, again, the cemetery is considered haunted. And the reason is, like I said, that people they're not under the right tombstones. And there was a tombstone that weighs, like he said, like 800 pounds or something, that moved all the way across the cemetery one night, and there was no drag marks or anything. It was just one place, and it was somewhere else the next morning. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, the few little paranormal experiences I've had with ghosts, I have not needed a Ouija board to experience. So I'm fine not messing with a Ouija board. You know, I have when my parents moved, or my mom and my stepfather moved up to Minnesota, they were looking at farmhouses because they had decided Chicago was too crazy. They needed to be out in the country, in the middle of nowhere, because God only knows why. And they were looking at places and found a place. And they went up. We were all looking around in this house, this old farmhouse, and I thought I was the last one up there, or just me and my brother, and I could hear him running around upstairs with me. And then I could hear my mom outside yelling, for me to come down. So I yelled at my brother to come with me. And then I look out the window, and he's standing outside. And I ran pretty quickly out of that house. And I never went back in that house. They bought the house next door. I never went back in that house ever again. But yeah, after that, I had no doubt that there were.
The experience I've ever had was the night my grandfather died. I thought that I heard his voice calling me while I was sort of half asleep, so I don't know if I was sort of half dreaming or not, but I thought I heard his voice calling me, and then an hour later my uncle called and told me.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No Ouija board needed.
So, what kind of stuff made you interested in movies to begin with, and like you just made you like, hey, this is something I want to do. I want to make movies.
Going back to my grandfather again. When I was a small kid, every Sunday our family would meet together for dinner, and afterwards, me and my grandfather would always sit and watch a film. So eventually, we watched, I think, Full Metal Jacket was the one that really got me.
Which one was it? I'm sorry.
Traumatized at the time watching that film that I couldn't get it out of my head for a week. It was really messed up. I was 7 years old or something, and I thought, I want to make movies. I want to fuck people up the way this film fucked me up.
And that was Full Metal Jacket was the first one that really messed you up?
Yeah, that was, I think, the most violent film I had seen
Yeah.
at the time.
It's one of the best movies ever made.
For me, and then we were blowing his brains out in the toilet, and that scene
Oh, yeah.
fucked me up.
Once your major malfunction, them nuts. Mommy, daddy, straight enough, love it all. What the hell was that? Something just fell in my room.
Yeah, see?
You summoned something, buddy.
Yeah, that's a great movie. So, like, your grandfather, was he like a film buff?
He was. He used to run an art house cinema before my time in Greece during the Greek dictatorship. And he directed a couple of films himself in the 60s, the most famous of which in the English-speaking world being The Hot Month of August, which was distributed in the States by Doris Wishman and later on was released by Something Weird Video.
Oh, awesome.
Oh.
I'll have to seek that out.
Oh, yeah.
Watching that. So
it's like in your blood then.
I guess so. Some families go into the bakeries together, others into mortuaries. We make trashy horror films.
Was he into horror movies?
He made all kinds of different films. He made comedies, he made sex films, he made dramas and noir films. But he loved horror films and he loved all kinds of cinema. So I think he passion for film because he wouldn't really make any kind of distinctions between what makes a great film. So we could watch one week Blues Brothers, and the next week we'd watch an Eisenstein film, and there was no distinction between what is lowbrow or what is high art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I like that because
you sound like a cool cat.
Mm-hmm. This is a horror show, and we talk mostly about horror movies, but I never understand when people get really like into like dissecting what genre a movie is, because it's like let's say Alien. Does it make a difference if you consider Alien science fiction or horror? I mean, does it really matter like what you think about the movie? It just seems kind of a pointless argument.
For me, the most annoying argument is people who try to sort of make a distinction between movies and films. I mean,
oh yeah,
right. If it's not on film, it's yeah.
All the pretentious film hipster bullshit.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, to me, it's just it's a synonym. I'll say film sometime, and I guess apparently maybe it's not a film. But
like whatever comes out or feels right this way.
Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite movies?
All-time favorite movie, I would say Freaks by Todd Browning. I watched it with every opportunity I have. I would miss my own funeral, my own wedding or funeral for it. Of course, John Waters, Pink Flamingos, and Polyester and Female Trouble are all three big favorites of mine. I love Fassbinder films. The Year with 30 Moons is one of my favorite films. I love Frankenhooker, who doesn't?
Nice.
Love that movie.
I love Phantom Water movies.
Uh-huh.
So many different films.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to tell.
So, even though I just said I don't like people putting movies in categories, what kind of category?
Shame on you
What
then.
Oh, here he goes.
What category would you put Spiderlings in? Because I don't know what I would put it in.
I have struggled a lot with it. Eventually, we decided to call it a horror musical, but I think it's almost, comedy, but it's also a love story, so I don't really. I never really wrote it with the idea to tick it with any particular box. It just kind of came out.
Sure.
And I think I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever people.
I love horror musicals. I absolutely love horror musicals. Like Repo the Genetic Opera, Devil's Carnival. I love those movies. I think they're great. You know,
Big
so
fan of
I
Little
think there
Shop
should be
of Horrors.
more. Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, I think there should be more horror musicals.
I think the quickest way to make me your enemy is to tell me, I don't really like horror movies or musicals. I've heard that from a couple of people, and I kind of hope they all die.
I agree. I just like musicals in general, to be honest. I mean, I like Grease. I like the big ones. I like some of the smaller.
I grew up sort of watching Fred Astaire movies a lot. Because on Greek television, it would run them on one channel constantly, and so whenever there was a Fred Astaire movie, I would always watch it.
That's very cool. So, what kind of stuff would you like to work on in the future?
At the moment, I'm writing a new script for a Victorian-era set horror film again, but I don't know, again, with independent film, it's always if you can get the money together to make it or not, so let's see what. And there's also a possibility to turn Wax House Rock into a feature film, so either one of those two, I guess, will be the next one. But I think I will always stay within the horror or dark comedy genre, just because I love horror, and everything I write eventually turns somewhat of a comedy because I cannot take the humor out of it.
What are some of the specials on the DVD Blu-ray release of Spiderlings?
We sent Troma so much stuff that we couldn't even use everything. There's going to be a couple of featurettes. There's going to be interviews with several of the actors, including also Jeff Christian, the composer, and Susie and track queen Tiffany Wells and Sophia Disgrace, and one with me. And there's going to be a lot of bloopers and deleted scenes we put on there as well. And of course, an introduction by Lloyd. So squeezing it full as much as fits, and half of it had to be left off, but there's always hopefully an edition done. 25th year anniversary edition, we're going to be able to put everything on.
Very cool. Well, if you're ever in America at some time, you can look us up.
Cool.
We'll try to get together.
They let me in?
If they let you in, right?
Yeah. We'll sneak you over the border.
I was going to say, just don't let them know you know us. You know?
Yeah, basically. Just don't mention our names.
Yep, you'll be safer that way.
Yeah.
Might be a big wall by then.
Yeah, there might be a wall.
Bring a ladder.
Yeah, bring a ladder.
Right. Or just fly over like everyone else is doing.
Yeah. That's the only problem with walls. Once they invented those damn machines that fly, the walls really aren't that effective.
It really poke holes into the whole wall theory, doesn't it?
Yeah, just if it wasn't for those, we'd have this brilliant plan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm also of Mongolian ancestry, so walls don't scare me.
Oh, there you go. You
nice.
know all about walls.
You're like, I got no problem with walls. I could take care of these walls. That wall, I could deal with that.
Well, it's been awesome to have you on here, man.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
come back anytime. It was great having you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, really.
And I hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Yes. Feel better soon.
This is Debbie Rochon, and you're listening to Without Your Head.